Thanks, Bushev. This is the sit-down where we bring you newsmakers and public figures in our weekend report lounge and unpack the latest occurrences in their lives. Action SA leader Herman Mashaba says he will run for the mayoral chair in the City of Johannesburg in the upcoming local elections. Mashaba says if his party fails to secure an outright majority win, they will open their options for coalition talks, but that ANC is a non-negotiable. He joins us now on the sit-down. Mr. Mashaba, very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. You have made a drastic move. It's less than 2 years, and you decided you missed the position so much you have to go back. Tell us why.
Thank you very much, and good morning to the listeners. I can tell you, the job of being a mayor is not the job that you miss, because I tell you, it's a punishing job, though at the same time, it's a most rewarding job. You remember I left before the end of my term. I only served 3 years instead of the 5 years, which is normally the constitutional requirement. Unfortunately, I had to leave before the time because of the differences with the DA in terms of my policy position. When they started negotiating with the ANC to remove me, and then I felt, look, you know, what's the point of serving a political party which does not really agree with my policies? And I moved out. And unfortunately, there was this massive outcry which led to the formation of the People's Dialogue, which gave birth to Action SA. And obviously one of our core values as Action SA is electoral reform, where our public reps are not going to be elected by us behind closed doors in smoke-filled rooms. So I've put my head in the ring, making myself available. But ultimately, for me to be the mayor of the City of Johannesburg, on behalf of Action SA, I'm going to run through the primaries in the middle of June this year, before the IEC elections. Action SA is going to hold primary elections where the people of Johannesburg, Tshwane and Kuruleni will have an opportunity to decide who becomes their public representatives.
What would you say were some of your biggest achievements as mayor, looking back at the work you did and the strides you made then?
Well, I think, you know, for me, it's really the various achievements, but I can just really mention a few because of the time. I think if you look at the city that 27 years ago was one of the modern cities in the world, today is a city in decay. It's been turned into a slum. And on the 1st of December 2018, when I was giving a report back on my 100 years in office, I made a commitment to reclaim the city of Johannesburg from criminal syndicates, where I can work with the private sector to provide affordable accommodation for our people, including students and small businesses, and take criminals out. By the time I left, we had already identified 600 buildings. Already by the time I left, we had already awarded 154 buildings to the value of 32 billion rands to create 24,000 housing opportunities for our residents. So, and it's a project that needs to really be intensified, and that's something that, given the opportunity to be the mayor, we are going to intensify the reclaiming of our city for our residents. As you are aware, we were in the process of creating and establishing a professional public service where we were getting rid of the cadres, putting in professional people to run our city. You know, in the history of the City of Johannesburg since the dawn of the new democracy, the best direct investment brought into the city was 4.7 billion rands. When I left in 2019, just over 17 billion rands worth of investment that we managed to attract in the city of Johannesburg. We managed to electrify over 10,000 homes, provided ablution facilities to informal settlements which were there for over 10 years, where the current government for 27 years never allowed people to have ablution facilities. These are just really just some of the few. Managed to almost double the size of JMPD, because without the rule of law, no ways that you can ever build an economy. So when I took over, the first adjustment budget, hardly just 6 months into office, managed to really put together a budget where we could recruit 1,500 police officers so that we can almost double the size of metro police so that there can really be order in our city. These are just really some of the samples. We extended...
Mr. Mashaba, if you'll allow me, you speak about your use of budget, but we know Joburg Mayor Jeff Makubo had some sharp words. He claimed that you brought the city to the brink of financial collapse and created an environment where maladministration bordering on fraud and corruption thrived. What do you say to that? And how will things be different?
It's actually quite a shame because unfortunately someone like Jeff, who even this week was on the Zondo Commission, fortunate enough, when I announced my resignation, immediately prepared my exit report. That report, it is there for you, for any South African or anyone in the world. My closing report, approved by Auditor General, approved by National Treasury, approved by rating agencies. So that report is there in terms of showing the health of the City of Johannesburg when I took over and the time I left. So it's not really a question that I can really say someone says something and another. Unfortunately, Jeff Makubu, as you are aware, is a known criminal. It's someone who's supposed to be in jail doing at least 15 years. So you cannot really rely on someone who's a known criminal, someone who during his tenure as MMC of Finance worked directly for the Gupta family, making in excess of 37 million rands in one transaction. This affects, I'm not talking about TSA in his particular case.
And you mentioned, as you were speaking about some of your achievements as the mayor of Johannesburg, reclaiming the city was one of the operative words you used. And reclaiming hijacked buildings was also something that you sparked a lot of controversy over because you were then accused of inciting xenophobia. When it comes to undocumented foreign nationals, what is your stance now?
My stance is actually even much more because given an opportunity in 2024, that's why we're working hard as Section SA to make sure that we can really make an impression on the people of South Africa in the local government election so that ultimately in 2024 we can remove the ANC. And I want to assure people of South Africa, respecting our constitutional framework, one of the big projects that we will embark upon, given the mandate by people of South Africa, we are going to intensify this question of undocumented the people who are in our country. We are going to do reviews, including those who acquired our citizenship fraudulently. We will send them back to their countries because we've got massive challenges. 12 million of our own South Africans are unemployed. No ways that we are going to allow people to come into our country to look after them when we cannot look after our own. So basically it is official. Action SA is going to intensify. If anyone thought we were aggressive in the City of Johannesburg, immigration is a competency of national government, and unfortunately the current ANC government is promoting this anarchy and lawlessness in our country. As Action SA, we are saying to people of South Africa, give us the opportunity. We are going to put people of South Africa first. We are going to encourage people of the world to come to this country, but they must come here legally, and when they're here, they must respect our laws. Those who are here illegally and do not qualify to be in South Africa, we're not going to apologize to anyone. We are going to send them back to their respective countries.
And when it comes to the sort of language that you used, you were really accused of inciting violence, xenophobic violence. That was a major focal point, especially with the tweets that you brought out, Mr. Mashaba. Many saying that, well, you know, some critics speaking to the fact that you are now instilling fear amongst foreign nationals in the city.
Well, fortunate enough, Paul, you remember I was reported to the ANC, reported me to the Human Rights Commission, and the Human Rights Commission did a study of what I said and articulated like I'm articulating now, and looked at the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. So if anyone then has committed crime or being xenophobic, then people who then drafted our Constitution, then that means that the Constitution of South Africa is xenophobic, because the Constitution of South Africa is very clear in terms of our immigration, that South Africa cannot be a country where we harbor criminals. So I think I cannot really be distracted by people who benefit out of criminality, because unfortunately ANC is a beneficiary of this criminal activity that's happening in our country, and they're the ones who are driving this narrative without obviously giving consideration to our Constitution.
And is there any sort of trust or faith that you have in the Department of Home Affairs? What some critics say, why aren't you working hand in hand with the Home Affairs Department to ensure that there are documented foreign nationals in South Africa who fled their own countries because of violence and tensions?
I'm afraid, I'll be lying to South Africans if I could say I have confidence in Home Affairs, including the current Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. I actually wrote a letter to him 2 weeks ago. He's never even had the decency to acknowledge my letter. I wrote a letter to the City of Tshwane. He's never had the decency to write to me. I wrote on the same day, I wrote a letter to the Commissioner of South African Revenue Services. The very same day, he responded to me. So what I've obviously lost confidence in politicians. I think one will now have to really then work with South African Revenue Services, because a lot of these foreign nationals, undocumented, are running criminal businesses, illegal businesses that are not registered. They bring in counterfeit goods, bring in expired goods in our country, and they are not registered to really pay taxes like you and I. And this is something that we as South Africans cannot allow. No self-respecting sovereign country would allow something like this. So I'm happy that South African Revenue Services is prepared to work with us. We are going to identify, we are going to intensify in ensuring that all businesses in South Africa are registered and they're paying taxes and people are here legally. If we are not here legally, we will put pressure on Minister Aaron Motsoaledi, because his party is the biggest beneficiary of this criminality that's happening in our country.
When it comes to the 27th of October, going into elections, what is your strategy as a party? Will you be contesting all 278 municipalities?
I'm afraid not, and it's something that really deeply hurts me. I tell you, even this morning I attended to few inquiries from people from other municipalities. It is humanly not possible for Action SA as a new party to contest 278 municipalities overnight. Unfortunately, at the moment, we've confirmed to contest 4 metros. That is Johannesburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and just over a month ago, we've now included eThekwini. We had a Senate meeting yesterday. We've requested our teams to do an evaluation of other additional municipalities that we can contest. But one thing which is really, I'm sad about it, and I'd like to apologize to people of South Africa, where we know that more than half of our municipalities are dysfunctional. But however, as Action SA, it is just not really possible. We do not have the capacity to contest all the municipalities, 278 municipalities. However, I can assure them 2024 we will be ready to contest nationally, and we are confident that with other parties we'll be able to remove the ANC out of power.
When it comes to talks of coalition, which partners are you eyeing? I understand that the ANC is out of the question.
Absolutely not a chance on earth that Action SA it's in our documents that Action SA cannot work with criminal enterprises. So we will work with political parties, with other political parties, but we cannot really work with parties. For us, as Action SA, we feel that the criminal enterprises, they are not political parties. So in any sphere of the spheres of our government, under no circumstances that will work with the ANC. In the event we go into municipal elections on the 27th of October this year, that voters elect to not give us outright majority, and the only way you can form a government is us with the ANC. I can tell you, us as Action SA will call for re-election, because under no circumstances that we want to really work with a party that we regard as a criminal enterprise.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time and joining us for the sit-down. Action SA leader Herman Mashaba giving us some insight, as of course he is now plotting a shock return as Joburg mayor, throwing his hat in there to once again take over the position.